Okay, we're good to go.
Can you hear us?
Indonesia, so the Wi-Fi is probably a little.
Oh,
Poor guy.
Yeah, okay.
He's just muted, that's all.
Ah, there we are.
There you are.
Me?
Yep.
okay. All right. We'll go ahead and get the Bellevue Planning and Zoning Commission meeting called to order on Monday, October 7th at 5:31. So let's see, roll call. We've got everybody present today. Notice of agenda and compliance, finding that the regular meeting notice and agenda were posted in accordance with Idaho Code 74-204 within 48 hours prior to the meeting at the Bellevue City Hall, Post Office of the city's website on October 2nd, 2024. Do I have a motion that this meeting was adequately noticed?
I moved the notice for this October 7th, 2024 regular meeting was completed in accordance with Idaho Code Section 74-204.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Call for conflict. Anybody have anything in conflict with tonight's topics?
I do. Yeah, so for the applicant on the conditional use permit for nomadic van, Rick Allington has advised me in the past, if I have a financial relationship with the applicant through my accounting firm, that I should recuse myself.
Okay. All right.
And I have a disclosure that I inspected the property for Ms. Cord.
Okay, so I'm not sure. Does that qualifies? Brian, you got any thoughts on that? Or?
Yes, I'm Brian Parker, Community Development Director. So you inspected that part of your job?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is there any further involvement with you in this process moving forward? And that's the only involvement you've had?
Correct.
Does not strike me as a conflict, but should be noted in the record.
Okay, great.
They haven't asked me to remodel it, so.
So drop it off by 5, we have to let somebody else come in. Okay. And it's not on the agenda, but we're glad, Brian, that you're here. And feel free to raise your hand, chime in, however you want to fill the year 2 tonight, which is day 1. Anyway, glad you're on board. So public hearing, we got an action item, public hearing to consider conditional use permit applications submitted by Ronald Arnold and Gardner Cord on behalf of Nomadic Van Sun Valley LLC to operate a mechanic shop and a niche market used car dealership at 22 Gannett Road in the light industrial zone. So we can start off with that action item. Amy or the applicant, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, my name's
Introduce
Ron Arnold, and I'm owner of Nomadic Van Sun Valley. This is Julie Cord, representative of the Robert and Catherine Gardner Family Trust. We assisting in buying 22 Gannett Road on the condition that we do get approved for this permit. So we're here to answer any questions that you might have concerning the application.
Okay. Good, yeah, we may have questions as we go through.
Sure.
All right. Okay, well, we'll just go ahead and go to that that part of our packet and go through the that item. Again, the general background as far as this was noticed properly. We do have some application materials that are part of our packet here. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to look through. And it does not appear as though there are any department head comments. Any outstanding comments that are seen, so we can just go through the our standards of evaluation. go through those one by one and have a discussion about those before we move ahead. So with standards of evaluation, the first criteria A will in fact constitute a conditional use as established in the zoning district involved, and the subject property is zoned as light industrial. The Bellevue zoning code dealerships are not permitted in the light industrial district but they are listed as conditional. So motor vehicle repairs, auto body repairs, and vehicle detailing shops are permitted, however. So this is a conditional application, so or anything else to add? in regards
I
to
have a
that?
suggestion.
Yeah,
I think it'd be potentially useful to read through their narrative
oh,
before we go through standards.
okay,
I think that is some information that will help kind of illuminate the discussion on standards.
I'll put that. Do we want to read through that? Do we want to take a few minutes, or do you want to read that aloud, or how does?
I'm fine with whatever.
You guys just want to scan through, go ahead. I mean, I would rather not read it out loud. It's pretty quick, if you don't mind, just take a second to go through, quite simple.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so then going back to our standards of evaluation. A, we're realizing that this is a conditional use. And then B, will be harmonious with in accordance with the general objectives or any specific objectives in the comprehensive plan or this ordinance in chapter 4 of the economic development section 4.4 of the 2017 comprehensive plan references that the need to attract businesses is paramount. So this seems to fit with that criteria. Any other discussion on that? And then C, will be designed and constructed and operated and maintained to be harmonious and appropriate in appearance with the existing or intended character of the general vicinity, and that such will not change the essential character of the same area, and adjoining properties are zoned and developed as light industrial. The proposed use will not change the essential character of the vicinity. We'll have to agree with that in terms of it's already being used for similar purposes. D, will not be hazardous or disturbing to existing or future neighboring uses. Proposed uses compatible with surrounding businesses and not likely to cause a disturbance. And I would agree with that. Any questions on that? Okay, moving on to E, will be served adequately by essential public service facilities and services such as highways, streets, police and fire protection, drainage structures, refuse disposal, water and sewer and schools, or that the persons or agencies responsible for the establishment of the proposed use shall be able to provide adequately any such services. And the business is located adjacent to the Gannett Road and is currently being serviced by police and fire protection, refuse disposal, and water and sewer services. So I'm not aware of any outstanding issues associated with that property or those services that need to be offered there. Let's move on to F. Will not create excessive additional requirements at public cost for public facilities and services and will not be detrimental to the economic welfare of the community. And no excessive additional requirements at public cost are foreseen with this conditional use permit.
Actually, I have one for E. Does that building currently have oil separator? Do you know?
Down below in the oil pit, yeah, there's a secondary flow. I don't know a whole lot about it, but there's no drain down in the oil pit, but there is a water separator before the actual ground.
Okay.
Yeah, there's an oil separator and the oil pit does not have any drain. It's sealed. And then there is one drain in the building that's underneath the lift, and that does have an oil separator built into it.
Okay, good.
Okay, moving on to G. Will not involve uses, activities, processes, materials, equipment, or conditions of operations that will be detrimental to any person's property or the general welfare by reason of excessive production of traffic, noise, smoke, fumes, glare, dust, odors, vibration, water pollution, or safety hazards. And this existing property has previously been used as a mechanic shop, and from reading the narrative and the introduction, it doesn't sound like anything is going to be introduced. So, moving on to H, we'll have vehicular approaches to the property, which shall be designated as not to create and interferes with traffic and surrounding public thoroughfares. Proposed property already has proper ingress and egress through the Southern Bell Business Park. That's quite adequate. I will not result in the destruction, loss, or damage of natural, scenic, or historic feature or of major importance, and there will be no destructive loss or damage of anything scenic or historic features of major importance. Let's pick up on any of that in the application, so I think we're okay there. And then J, will be adequately screened by means of fencing or landscaping from public ways and neighboring properties. And the project is located in a fully developed commercial subdivision. I think everything that's there is screened adequately, so unless there's something else that's not disclosed here, it's probably gonna be fine. Any other questions or about that, or comments?
I don't think so. Nope. I'm very comfortable with this.
Yeah, I'm as well, don't see any issue, so yeah, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve this conditional use permit, application submitted by Nomad Van Sunbelt LLC located at 22 Gannett Road, Southern Bell Business Park, finding that the application complies with the applicable criteria set forth in Title 10, Chapter 15, conditional use permits. Period.
Second,
I'll second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes.
I think that's the first one we've had that didn't have any conditions.
Yes.
Oh, everybody's
Right on.
Yeah.
Thanks, y'all.
Yeah.
It's absolutely fantastic. You're really cool to be down here. I think the space is just gonna help us grow and have access to people that can work with their hands. I mean, we have the hardest time finding people that are mechanics up in Ketchum area.
Well, to get to Ketchum's a pain.
It is, yeah. Nobody wants to drive from Haley to Ketchum, and you can get from Shoshone here in just the same amount of time. So it's really gonna help us. So thank you all for doing it and giving us a chance.
Oh, welcome to Bellevue.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking forward
glad
to it.
you're here. Mhm.
I did have just a couple questions. One, with the like the nature of a conditional use permit, is that like in perpetuity? Is there, obviously, if we don't meet those conditions in the future, I would assume it gets revoked. I just, for our understanding, it would be good to know. Anyone know?
Look at code. I'm pretty sure if we did have any issues, I think that we would have had that in conditions that we would reevaluate it in a year. I'm gonna have to look. Do you mind if
Okay.
I email it to you?
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. And then my second question, nope,
Brian
sorry.
might have something.
Yeah, I'll add in, conditional use permits are generally, perpetual property right that runs with the land. So as long as you're still in compliance with the terms of your conditional use permits, like I said, it's property right, you can sell it to somebody else if you want.
Cool, thank you. And
The
then
one thing
second,
the one thing I would add to that would be, you know, if there are any changes that you would want to make in terms of signing, fencing, you know, parking issues or whatever, that those, you do stay in close communication with the city on those, and to see if those would trigger any, additional review, so that, we're not coming in retroactively, addressing issues. So
Yeah,
come to us, please.
that was part of my second question, because I have submitted a business license application and a sign application. I didn't see those on the agenda, so I was wondering what the status of those were.
Those don't have to go through the planning commission, so now that we have the approval by the planning commission, then we can go forth and get you your sign permit and your business license.
Cool.
I will
Perfect.
be in contact with you about that too, I think, once those are ready.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much.
You're welcome.
Yes, great.
All right.
Thanks. Already put some sunscreen on. See you later.
See ya.
Good to see you.
I gotta go back to my honeymoon. Have a great meeting.
Right on.
Bye.
Cool. Too easy.
Okay.
Well, we need anything else from me here? We can just get on out of here.
You're good to go.
Cool, thanks. Wow. So
Congratulations.
Thanks, y'all.
Okay, have a good night.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to consent agenda action items. We'll just take these one at a time. Motion to approve meeting minutes dated August 5th, 2024.
And findings of fact are a separate item from meeting minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we need to do them separately.
We could.
Or do you want to do it as a consent agenda?
Can we? Okay, okay.
Like, to go through them one by one.
I'm-
You're-
Oh, they're there.
I think I'm okay with approving them as a,
Consent agenda.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I would.
I didn't find anything in here that I'd like to pull out of consent agenda.
Okay,
Yeah, neither did I.
Just for the first line,
for the.
or the whole thing.
For the whole thing.
Okay.
Consent agenda action items.
I'm gonna phrase this, so I move to approve the consent agenda action items as listed on our October 7th agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Okay. Before we do adjourn, do we have another meeting? Date? Or anything, we know we have another meeting date, but we have anything,
Don't have any implications
Okay.
at the moment. During their perusing of the file, did we find anything?
Okay.
that you wanna- So, yeah, so that's what, the 21st?
if we did have one, it would be the 21st. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we don't have anything at this time. there anything you guys would like to add to the agenda for the 21st?
I'd potentially like to do a work session with you guys at some point. I'm not quite sure if I'll be ready by then, but just kind of talk with you all and figure out what I need to know and what we can do.
I think that'd be a great idea yeah, for us all to get acquainted and figure out how we can, how we work together, how we
Yeah.
can and should be working better and all those things, so. Yeah,
Any specific topics you'd like to?
I think one topic that I would like to see explored would be, how we work with city council, have that liaison, work and position, or. That would be one thing I'd like to see added or discussed. The second, I think, would be to try to figure out how we start to triage priorities, in terms of, we'll have annexations supposedly. Of course, we've been hearing this for several years. And they're always the next month and, so but at some point, those will come in and we're limited in staff and limited in time and how we prioritize those. And how the city really was kind of look at that too. It's more of a city question, but, and then I think the other thing to talk about would be, needs to update the comprehensive plan. And then, and again, this kind of, as you get your feet underneath you, which may take a bit to sort all this out, but I think, updates to the comprehensive plan and how that addresses our current ordinances and enforcement of ordinances, I think are some things that would be worth discussing and how, if we can get through all of those in one session, great. If not, well, at least we can know that those are some things that I think are important to me. As being on this for quite a while, and then also seeing issues and challenges that we have now and in the future.
I'd like to chat about this too. The affordable housing stuff. I mean, it seems like it's a bit of a chicken and egg problem. And like crafting the language, figuring out the need, not backing ourselves into a corner where, where we got unintended consequences that bite us.
I think that, along with what you said about how we work and interact with the council, will be really helpful.
Yeah.
Most recently this summer, we were working on allowing residential construction in the business district. And that recently didn't get passed when it went up to council, so now it's very I think they're circling back around it, but then it's sort of like, what do we do next and how do we move forward? So I think it would be helpful.
And I think one thing too would be lessons learned from, what was the headlines in last week's paper from, Ketchum was like, oh, we're too big. I was like, well, they're too big, because I'm curious from your perspective, like, it was all approved according to their planning and zoning and their code. So it's like, how do we learn from some of the challenges that other communities have made? And so we don't repeat some of those same things, but yet still do what we need to do to provide affordable housing and light industrial needs. And, I see there are going to be more and more businesses, I think, wanting to relocate to Bellevue because it's too expensive and arduous to get to Ketchum or Haley at some point even. So I think we keep that on our radar and how we, we all work full-time plus jobs, and so we don't have time unless know some of the other people from planning and zoning departments in other communities, as far as I read in the newspaper, but I think it would be good to try to figure out what we could do different or better, based off of their trials and tribulations, and so we don't repeat the same mistakes. And your background too, coming from a call, I think will be very valuable in that as well. Yeah. Well. What else, anything?
That's all I have.
I think you guys hit on everything for me.
Okay. Cool,
Maybe a couple sessions.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it'll all be one.
Drinking from the fire hose, that's, totally understand.
Move to adjourn?
Yeah, welcome motion.
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second.
On favor?
Right.
Right.
Motion passes. Adjourned.